Thank you all and welcome back to Trust All Truth. I did not think, I wasn't planning on making another lesson for a little bit because I was going into trying to organize my thoughts a little bit. I had to come back, make this really quick, explain something but with passion because I'm informed about this particular. Usually when I try to communicate with people about ideas that with challenging other people's ideas, I try to be as nice as possible. Presenting challenges, accepting challenge, right? So I accept their challenge, I introspectively look at that, and I analyze it with all the media that's available, with all the information that's available, every information that they have, as well as going outside their information, because that's very necessary. So whenever someone presents you a challenge, you accept it, you get all the information that they have. This is what I do, and this is what you should do. So you most accurately understand their position, which is getting all the information they have, understanding all the context they received it in, as well as going far outside of those contexts and that information and exceeding past what their own understanding. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. It's sound, it's been sound. That's ridiculous. Alright, so here we go. So I always try to get the information that they have as well as use information I already have. And currently with a lot of people around my demographic, in my age range, when it comes to complex ideas that usually people only with more maturity understand, I've already introduced myself to these ideas and topics and well knowledgeable about them, so the ideas that are presented to me I already understand. Even though I listen, make sure there's nothing new. Before I present my own challenge, I make sure I understand everything first. So here's something that has been very, 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 very important. And this goes off topic of this because I need to get off. There's a new, it's not a new idea, because I presented this idea. I'll link a clip with this, or I'll put a link in the description just showing how I addressed this a few months ago, and how it's very complex, a very important thing to think about, but it's already understood. So it's this idea of cognitive of life. What is a life, right? So if one claims to be a believer in science, right, which I am a believer in science that is based in things you can observe, right, and I take predictions as just that, and I take trends as likely or unlikely probability. I analyze it, all those things, statistics. Sure, 80% are untrue. Is that true? Hey. Because that in itself is a statistic, right? So you can't, those things, they countervail each other, and it's very strange. But when it comes to information, when you're understanding information, especially information that is so societally weighted, which culture has a lot to do with the opinions people have about certain subjects, especially science, and the knowledge of this information has an effect on the livelihoods of people because of this information, which is a lot of information, scientific information. So based on these things, what is it affecting? So the knowledge of these things are affecting the way, potentially destroying lives, eliminating potential lives, or benefiting life. So what of these things, what is this influence of thought, this thought influencing on your actions going to have as a result of those things? So what I'm now referring to is something very basic, and I'm going to erase these. Hopefully I talked about those enough. I think I did. If I didn't, I'll come back to them. Easy as that. And this is something I'm very passionate about, because it's something, ambivalence is, you cannot be ambivalent about this topic. If you are, it's sad, right? So I'm going to read off to you this post I see. It's going around. It's very popular right now. This is something I might try to do with this programming, is addressing things that are popular in media and deconstructing those thoughts and giving you, input into these things. All right? And you can look up the information and how it's supported by culture, common culture, but these are things I've studied by myself, and you just have to look up those things to support it, if you can, and you should, because this is very important. So the post says, and I'll put it up. We can legally pull the plug on people who are brain dead, even when they have heartbeats, because they are legally dead. Without a brain, you have no cognitive function or awareness of anything really, but go off on how a heartbeat equals life so you can further oppress women. Right? So you can tell by the tone of that was to incite, it was incitive. So it was, with the popular nomenclature of youth and culture in social media, there's particular language in there that is conducive to incitation. So they want an argument. They saying someone's presenting an argument. This is my response to that argument. All right. So what are the elements in this argument? The elements within this argument are the elements here: legality. That's the first address. First thing addressed. Legality, pull the plug, who are brain dead, which is, we would call that brain dead to life. Sure, pull the plug. No, matter of fact, legality, pull the plug, meaning kill, death, legality, death. Death, life. Understand? This is very important, the order of those things. Life, dead, bodily function. Bodily function. And then go back to legality again. Cognitive function. Cognitive function, and then awareness of anything. Cognitive function go equals. Then we got legality, and then oppression. No, equality and oppression. Oppress. Is there two P's in oppress? Yes, there is. I was right first. Alright, now because the words mean many things is why we can break these down even more, and then we could even go into culture of these things. So in this post, you can tell it's at least inspired by a Western culture. And also by the nomenclature, you can tell youth. Youthful. You know why I say that? Because I'm familiar with some of the older expressions, and there's certain expressions in there that I've only heard by people from a particular age group, which is young, or younger than me, or in the same age group, youthful. Youthful Western culture. This ideas are coming from in that statement. So when we have legality, oppression, culture, which is connected to this oppression, so these things are connected. It's webbed together. Just so you know, it's not separate. This is just an identification of where it comes from. But this is culture is also presented, is also within this context. So we've got legality, death, life, body function, cognitive function, equality, and oppression. So with this, from culture, and equality, and oppression, life, death, all this it then goes into, because it's culture, what is the morality of this culture? The state acknowledge it's legal to kill someone who is brain dead, because they do not operate in a certain bodily function. or because they don't operate at a certain cognitive function, they say they don't really know what's going on anyway. Or say they wouldn't awareness of anything really. So essentially they're saying death without consciousness, which cannot be seen, so that's a predicator of their statement, is that they're presenting an idea that is supposed to hold substance and supposed to trigger people when the basis of their claim is non-observable. Because they're saying, oh, really, no cognitive function or awareness. Because they're observing a bodily function or absence of bodily function that is still alive. They're saying they're legally dead when they're brain dead. What sense does that mean? What sense does that make? We cannot observe consciousness. It is predicted that our consciousness is held within our mind, within our head, in our brain. That is something that is thought. Currently, and this is something that's going to be argued and you can scrutinize that. Sure, go ahead, that's whatever. Do that. But because you cannot observe consciousness, you can measure and calculate certain things and certain activity that goes on within the brain with certain thoughts. But guess what? You can also observe and measure activity going on with other organs in your body as well as the brain. It's the thought that these senses originate in the brain. Because it's a cycle, how do you know when it originates? It's all connected. So when it's disconnected, do we see, I guess that's what the idea is. When you see a disconnect from certain bodily functions, when you have nerve endings, when your brain is still functioning, but the signals from your brain are getting to a limb or something like that. Right, so then the thought is that because your brain is not functioning, that does not give you control over your body functions, that you're somehow, you're dead. But blood is still pumping through your veins, which means blood is getting to your brain. Just because there are no synapses going off, nothing making you be able to move your body, right? And sure, bodily functions can start to shut down over time. Bodies are always shutting down over time because eventually we die. And with lack of brain activity, that seems likely that process will be accelerated because of the circulation of the brain due to lack of mobility. Like you would see with someone with morbid obesity. Because we know morbidly obese people are at a much more skyrocketed path towards death, does that mean we should kill them? Should it be legal to kill them? Because if they have very limited mobility, if they want to go into paralysis because of their lack of mobility and the organs are shutting down at an accelerated rate than the average weighted person, which is still sort of overweight. We acknowledge these things. Life and death. Is it more to kill someone with hyper accelerated bodily functions? So, I'm sorry, I'm passionate about this, which it does not take away from my objectiveness in having studied these things. I'm not passionate about it because it's something that our youth are saying this. That means they're getting it from somewhere. They're getting it from somewhere they trust. Someone they trust. Or they trust in themselves, which, I mean, hey, do that, but also take information. Don't stop at this. Don't stop at this. If this is one step on the path, I hope it comes back and the pendulum swings the other side and they recognize the truth. It's very possible that very well may happen. But right now, that's what I've seen. And this is what it's being. I've seen it multiple times. And I'm making something about it right now. And I already have. That's my point. I already have. Limited mobility, lack of bodily functions. That lack of brain activity gives someone the legal right, or the absence of brain activity gives someone the legal right to kill somebody. They're comparing this to abortions, the oppression of women. And that this should be equal to that. Or is equal to that, because before the brain of a baby is made, so she's arguing to a point, oh, so a heartbeat is alive. So just because a body still has a heartbeat doesn't mean it's alive. Because legally you can kill them when they don't have observable cognitive function. Okay? That's legal. Just because it's legal, does that make it okay? Does that make it okay? Is it moral, cultural? So, because people have skewed morals and they're not objective in their morality, let's just say, okay, since we have to, you want to consider, if you're considering science in lifestyle, if you were in that situation, place yourself on level in that situation, you are so adamant on killing them. Why? Why? Let's first address this. Let's first address someone. It's quite ridiculous. It's the gotcha. It's the over. Not that it's it's a good thing in some ways. You know, the confidence in that statement, and the people that support it. Just because you have supporters and confidence doesn't mean you're right. Hitler, Mussolini. You want me to go further? Donald Trump, if you really like it like that. Donald Trump, if you really like it like that. Donald Trump, if you really like it like that. I know that's a trigger for you, so what makes you different? You're putting something out. You're saying Donald Trump is a reality star. Okay, you're popular, and you have a popular opinion. You got a popular phrase on the internet, and a lot of people agree with you. A lot of people back you up. Does that mean you're right? When we look at statistics, then you say, whether believe them or not. When you look at evidence of these things, do you stay right or are you checked? Right? Fact checked. When I check your facts just means you want to kill somebody and adamant on doing that. Murderer. And it's ridiculous. Okay, let's go to the people, life support. I don't want to write this down, but I've already talked about it. And it's life support. Life support is many things. You support your own life with your bodily function. Once you are incapable of once your own body is incapable of sustaining itself and it's on a downward trend to death, close to death, this is what we're speaking of. In this sense, when your body, your life is now supported by third party technology, full dependency. When you're fully dependent on third-party technology. So that's non-human. Non-human, well, someone's not, that second party, and then third party is machines, right? Robotics. Third party, robotic. Okay? If you want me to specify, because people have to be critical of these things. That's fine. I am too. Specify as much as possible. Scrutinize even more in the comments once you see this. Third-party technology, full dependency. This was created specifically to support these people's lives. Okay? It's created to support lives. That's what it's made for. Life support. Life support. Is it called death support? Is it called brain dead support? is to support your life. Why is that? Potential for potential recovery. Recovery to what? To original status. To original status. Before having the reliance of third party, of robotic third party, fully dependent technological third party assistance. The potential to recovery. So you could go back to not having full dependency. This potential life to get your life back. So are you dead? When someone is brain dead, right? When someone's in a coma, they go brain dead. Okay, so when you're in a coma, when you're asleep, are you brain dead? What's the difference? What's the difference between someone that is sleeping and someone that's in a coma? What is the look? What is the difference? If they didn't have life support machines on them, would you be able to tell the difference? Guess what? Some specialized people could. People without that specialization of observing the different heart rates, right, and breathing patterns would not be able to tell a difference. They would see the bodily function of this person and realize that person is still alive. Whether or not they had cognitive function or not, because in rest, your cognitive function is not on display. Okay? So when we see the difference in this observation of this life support is that the extreme of this, of the cognitive, of the not even cognitive function, because that's something that cannot be visualized except with a physical attribute, unless there's physicality involved, you cannot measure, you cannot observe cognitive function without something being measured physically. Cognitive function, thought, is only seen because of action. It's only seen through something visual, through a response, okay? So the things that you think, the exact words you think, will never be seen before they come out of, seen or heard or observed, before they exit your vocal cords, before they are spoken, before they are gestured. The words that you think, the actions that you think, will never be observed before they are physical. So when brainwaves are being scanned, they are observing physical things that can be detected with the tool that they have manufactured to detect these certain things. Then what has happened? There are certain things that are triggered. There's an experiment. There's certain things that are being presented with you. You're being told to think about certain things. And through their experiment, they are seeing the visualization of a reaction to something you think. They cannot see your thought, they see the reaction of your thought. Okay? Very simple. It's not that complicated. So, that is very base. That's very base. I'm not going in depth with it. That's not what this class is for. We're not going into, I'm explaining this. Put in the context, put more details into it of it. Nothing I said is untrue. So, when we are, science knows that there's a potential life because it was once alive. So if it is still has some automatic bodily function, such as a heartbeat, we know there's potential for life. That is a sign of life. Brain activity is a sign of life. Right? Breathing, sign of life. So this sign of life gives way to understanding that there's potential for recovery, which is why someone put them on life support to originate. If they were brain dead, if that was the case, why, if they can be legal, if it's legal, this is where we get into the spice of legality, because it is legal. That's not an argument. The argument is whether it should be legal, right? Whether it should be, because this is legal. It is currently legal. it is currently legal. Just like it is currently legal and encouraged for someone that is someone that has had a severe injury to which they are no longer able to control themselves, that it's recommended that if they are on life support, that is something that is done to potentially get to recover to some capacity. If you did not want to receive, most people do not think they will be in these types of situations. So most people do not have a plan for being on life support. Most people cannot. This is why it's important. The only reason we're talking about this, the only reason you're saying, oh, it's illegal, because it costs money. Because it's a struggle for you. If people were on life support for free, you wouldn't be saying, oh, cut them off, it's legal. And no, that's all right. You wouldn't be saying nothing if it didn't cost anything. So shut up. You want free healthcare. If healthcare was free, would you be saying the same thing? Oh, cut Gabby off. Oh, cut my uncle off. He ran on his motorcycle and someone hit him. Unplug him because I can't afford it. Oh, if it's free. Oh, yeah, no, it's fine. You're not paid. If it was free, would your answer be the same? That's where your morality comes to check. Would it change based on circumstances? Morality should not be changing based on circumstances. Morality should be object. We're not reliant on circumstance. It's the end of the means. It is what the result is of your action. People on life support are put there to potentially recover. Who is it for you to say, oh, the potential is no longer worth my time because I don't want to put the effort into it? Why did you choose to put them on life support if there was a standard, if there was a threshold that you would eventually reach before it was no longer worth it? You decided to put this person's life in your hands when you decided that to put them on life support. If you didn't want the responsibility, you should have let them die originally. If you want to hold this stuff, you want to be consistent, you want to be smart, you want to tell people things, live this life. Lets you get an accident, make sure they have do not resuscitate all your papers. DNR on all your medical paperwork so you can support your idea. Don't even try it because guess what? Because they're not, it's legally, oh, I want to bail off since I can do it, I should do it. Because it's illegal for me to do it, because I will not be criminalized, because I will not be in prison for doing something immoral, I should do it. Why then does anyone that's brain dead, why are they still alive? Why should anyone waste any amount of money trying to keep them alive when they can kill them? Why does any brain dead person have a chance? Put yourself in that position when you are making these statements, when you agree with these statements. Put yourself in these positions. That is determinant of your own morality, what you will do when it's you. I'm passionate about these things. Technology is there. Is created to help. Sometimes, oftentimes those things are then manipulated into things that will hurt us, right? So then the ideas around these technologies of who's being able to benefit the most from them is what have these different strains of thought, these different schools of, oh, it's not worth it because I don't have the access to it. Imagine the world where you did. You would not be saying the same things. Understand this. If you made better decisions, if you made better choices, if your morality was intact, if you were consistent, if you thought about how everything would affect you and those around you that you love, then your words would not be the same. If people around you did that, you would not even have had that thought in your mind to begin with. Okay? Now, I'll address that later. Now let's get into the oppression of women. They're comparing this to abortion, right? So, we understand that someone's life is being supported because it was once alive. Life support. When a certain function is available while others, you're supporting the life because there are other things that are observable. Any, this is not, I shouldn't even have to do this. Life. What are we made up of? Cells. Okay, this should dismiss it right away. What's the sign of life? Cells. What's the sign of life? Cells. We should be done here. Shouldn't we? But no. What then's next? Clump of cells. What else we got? Tissue. Nerves. Matter of fact, it's nerves before tissues, isn't it? And this is all these things are activated. So these are within these things, nerve tissue that builds, the cells are building blocks of all these things. Right? So nerves, tissue. Sorry, tissue. Heart. Brain. Vital organs. Vital organs. I'm not the one to be explaining this. How are you oppressed? Because we don't want you dead. We don't want Bob dead. Any potential life we don't want dead. Think of the person you love the most. Gone. Would you be gone? Oh, I'm fine with it. You have the choice to think you would be fine because you were not aborted. This is foolishness now. Statistics. Believe them, don't believe them. Do you believe science? You obviously can't. Science, 85 to 95% of scientists believe and understand and present and distribute the information and this knowledge that you say you believe that life begins at conception because of the identification of human properties that life is potential. Just like someone on life support that has loss of functions that is being supported by third-party technology to then keep them breathing and not decaying at a slower rate. This is the organization of decay. Before decay starts, there's the beginning. So why is it more of a life as it's decaying than as it's being created? What sense are you making? Oh, so before it begins, it's okay to kill, but after it's already dying and it's closer to the end of the road, we should leave it because it's had this long. Do you not understand? Okay, then it should be old women, old men off the ship first because they had lived so long. Babies, children, young people, stay on the ship, go down. You don't have the experience to set up life as it should be, like these old people that have lived their life. They know how to live it, so they should be able to continue to live it because their life is worth more because they've been around longer. Now you want to talk about viability? Who is more likely to survive those climates? The sinking ship, the men. More muscle mass, this is biological, don't get offended. The men, the grown men with strength, muscle and body warmth, high body temperature, that are able to move things and shift things and have more capacity, that are less hypothermic risk. I mean, not less, but in time, they would be able to survive longer because someone came and got them. So if you want to talk about viability, blame nature. We support each other. We need every single person. Every single person is important. You want to fix these problems? We need every hand we can get. Will you kill all people? This life's not worth anything because a woman has to carry it. Guess what? You like technology, don't you? You like science. Do you? You must not. Don't you realize each and every year, babies are having more and more viability earlier outside of the womb. So at what point is it going to be viable for that baby to be removed from you at a very early position where it's now currently legal to have that baby aborted, but when technology advances, that baby will be able to survive on third-party machines outside of you. Will that have then make the people of the past immoral? Yes, it will, because that baby can survive outside your womb earlier than this baby could. So when you analyze this and you... The people that it is unavailable for to have unsafe abortion, to have non-ready abortions, non-safe abortions, should they have, are their lives any less important? Are those babies any less more worth it because their mothers cannot safely have an abortion? They would have to die in order to have an abortion, but it's made so easily accessible due to our technologies, and the babies are much more readily being killed and available to be killed because the mother's life is not as much of a risk. Does that make the mother better and more morally right because she is more able to kill something? Oh, she's greater than thou because I can kill you. Translate this into race relations. Because I can kill you better, that means I'm better than you. I'm supreme to you. What is your problem? Put these things in order. You are out of order. Your mind is confused. You are making statements that don't make moral sense. Every single time you say, I am pro-choice, I don't think it's okay. Even for the people that are on the fence, there's no fucking fence. You're not on the fence. If you say, okay, in this scenario, it's okay for them to murder something because it's an inconvenience to them. Okay, traffic's an inconvenience to me. I should have a spree to get to my destination quicker because even though I chose to drive a car on this particular road, on this particular day, knowing that other people would be there, I get to kill everyone because they're an inconvenience to me after the decisions I made. If someone made it for me, if someone forced me in the car, right? But then they get out the car. Now I'm in the driver's seat. I gotta get by her. Turn around. I was forced to be in the car, and now I'm stuck in this position. Oh, because they put me here, I'm going to have a murder spree. You're in my way. I get to affect you because I was negatively affected. What sense are you making? Understand, the only reason you're alive is because other people didn't have those thoughts that you have around you. You need to be pro-choice. We have choice no matter what you can, well, no matter what anyone thinks. We have a choice regardless. The choice is always there. I'm pro-choice because we have a choice. I'm pro-life being the way it is. I'm pro-letting, but I'm trying to change it. If there's something I'm trying to change, do it for the better. Make it better. Make all lives necessary. Take away the positions in which someone would think it's okay to abort a child. Take away the positions where someone thinks it's okay to murder another person. Take away, increase technologies to a point where people are able to live their lives the best way possible. This is what medicine is for. You are not. The things you believe you are morally skewed because if you had access to all this medical stuff, you would not have these ideas. If you were in a position where you weren't being encouraged to not think about decisions you make, you would be in these positions. You would have these thoughts of, oh, maybe it's okay to not have to deal with the consequence of your actions. I don't want anybody that doesn't want a child to have a child. Nobody. Every child deserves to come in a world where they were wanted and necessary. And you're telling me, oh, because I can't, it's not realistic not to have sex. What's your problem? The day you are. I've talked about this stuff, and I've talked about it nicely. And there's a point where it just gets overwhelming. I'm not even overwhelmed. I've thought about this stuff, but hey, you keep making the choices you do. Understand, you're gonna have a life of regrets in your age of if you ever reach that wise age, because you're pro-choice, right? So pro-choice, okay, it's pro-choice. I'm gonna come up and kill you. You're pro-choice, right? You're pro-choice. Kill everything that's an inconvenience to you. Your life on this earth, wanting someone else dead, wanting to murder someone else is an inconvenience to me, because that takes away lives of potential great people. So your life is an inconvenience to me, so I'm gonna come get you. Does that make sense to you? I hope it does, because that's the exact line of thought you're using. And I shouldn't be, and no one should come after me, because I'm making the world a better place. I make the world better for me. Me taking away this life is going to make the life better for everyone. It's me, for me first. And then because I'm able to have a better frame of mind with these people out here, the world's going to be better. I don't care about how nobody feels. It's better for me, which is going to make the world a better place. Because I'm happy, the world's happy. Because the world revolves around me. And me taking these lives and my own, there's no risk. Think about the way you say things. It doesn't make any sense. It makes complete sense for someone that's not thinking very long. And you sound like a child, and you probably are children. You have immature mindsets, which is understandable, but acknowledge that and increase your knowledge. And go back, learn. You say you believe things. What do you believe? Find the truth. Stop believing things that are easily disprovable. All right, that's the lesson for today. Thank you all for listening, reading, watching, whatever you did. I'll speak about this and maybe I'll be nicer next time. Because I'm nice all the time, but nice doesn't get me anywhere. Nice hasn't gotten me anywhere so far. Right? So be blessed, stay blessed, trust all truth.